Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Stephanie. I'm a professional writer here in LA. And when I watch TV, there is a million things that go through my mind. So today I'm going to show you an example of that with the opening scene of Insecure. Okay, so right away, this show is using the setting as a character. We're in LA. These are all pretty iconic parts of LA. There's the Forum, there's Randy's Donuts, there's Slauson Avenue. So this is very interesting because normally when you see shows that are set in LA, it's always glitz and glam and Hollywood and that type of lifestyle. If you know anything about LA, these are staples of Black LA. Slauson, Randy's Donuts. So it's telling you exactly where we are and the type of show that you're in immediately. We're not in glitz and glam Hollywood, we're in real LA. So that's the first thing that's being thrown at us. Let's continue. Now we're settling in on a school, and then we have this brochure that says Constructing Bright Futures. We got y'all. So again, it's literally telling you and communicating to you what you should know before it's actually shown. Obviously, since we have this brochure, we know that there is some sort of program happening in this school. The protagonist is looking like this woman at the head of the classroom. I obviously have seen Insecure, so I know this is Issa Rae. You probably know that too. And she's just describing what We Got Y'all is to the classroom, but it's also for us to know exactly where we are, what we're doing. This is clearly a person who cares about her community and who cares about mentoring young Black kids. And then we have this image. This image is this wall of Black history heroes. MLK, we see Rosa Parks, and then we focus in on Harriet Tubman, just in case you didn't catch it. These are absolutely hilarious. Who put this pink bandana on Harriet Tubman? I couldn't tell you, but this all actually tells you that you are in a comedy. As writers, the purpose of pilot episodes and specifically the opening scene is to communicate to you what show you're in very quickly, and that includes tone, and this visual has a lot of tone to it. We're in a comedy because this is hilarious. Who put this pink bandana on Harriet Tubman? Please, somebody let me know. So like I said, we're focusing in on the protagonist now. It's really important to establish your protagonist from early on so the audience knows who we're following and who we're supposed to be rooting for. Comedies always do this thing where they contrast the protagonist and their emotions with their outside and external environment, right? So the reason why this is so funny is because Issa is very excited, very encouraging. She wants everyone to ask questions. And then we cut to the classroom where nobody cares. Nobody's looking at her. Everyone's giving her this type of stance. This is one technique in comedic writing, and that works every time. And boom, the next beat, someone raises their hand, she chooses them, and again, she's excited, she wants them to participate, she's taking this seriously, and then she gets an unserious question. It happens again where the environment is not matching her own emotions. She thought that her joke was funny, and then you cut back to the environment and they are not laughing. What is this? This is the third time that they've used this technique now. And then the white girl says that's racist. Hopefully you're laughing. I know I laughed when I first watched this scene. And then we're going back to any other questions. Honestly, that was kind of rules of three. They did that same beat a few times. Now what they're doing in terms of comedic structure and comedic writing is they're leaning on the technique of inappropriateness. One of the ways that makes people laugh is to say something inappropriate, and there's different ways that something can be inappropriate, right? It can be what you're actually asking in terms of the words that you're putting together in the question. It could be timing. It could be the fact that you're asking such a question at an inappropriate place. In this instance, it is inappropriate questions. And because she's at work, the setting adds on top of that so that it's really hammering home the classic comedic technique. So we have some actual questions that are sprinkled in there. Someone says, is this what you always wanted to do? And now in terms of technique, this is what we call exposition. In order for you to understand the story, there are certain things that you need to understand that happened that pre-existed the opening scene, and that is called exposition. They're laying track for that right now by asking her, is this what she always wanted to do? And her answer is going to give us exposition that we otherwise wouldn't know. And this was actually very, very, very good technique because they actually merged exposition with inappropriateness. So they merged structural technique with comedic technique. and the question, are you single, actually is going to provide us exposition later on, but it's also an inappropriate question, so you get the comedy. And she snaps and she tells everyone everything that we need to know is buried under the character's motivation, which is to get everyone to stop asking her these types of questions so she can focus on her job. But really, in a writer's brain, we're actually just trying to communicate exposition to the audience in a way that you'll be able to absorb it subconsciously and not realize that we're actually spoon feeding you all of this information. Another thing to point out is that there's a theme among these questions as well. There's a lot of questions about blackness, about womanhood, and specifically about black womanhood, right? Are you single? Why aren't you married? Nobody's checking for bitter ass black women anymore. That first question is, why do you talk like a white girl? There's certain questions that are communicating a theme, so that once again, it's communicating to you the type of show that you're in. These types of themes is what's going to be explored throughout this show. And also her answers are also communicating the message that she wants the audience to receive as the writer of the show. And then it's back to the comedy, and that is the opening scene to Insecure. I believe is supposed to communicate just where she is in her life, and is probably emblematic of other relationships and types of spaces that she is in her life. She always feels out of place, maybe like a joke. People are not taking her seriously, and probably dealing with this question of like, what am I doing here? Am I fulfilling my purpose? Hence the name of the show, Insecure. And so I think this opening scene was beautifully done because it literally communicates everything that you need to know. From the opening scene, I hope this was helpful. There's so much to learn from the opening scene of a pilot.